This is Al Volapiano, Vice President of Clinical Development for Inflection. In this training video, we'll give you an overview of the ASI MV Connect system. There are three main components to the ASI MV system, and that are the assessment interviews, the clinical reports, and the analytics data center. The assessment interviews include the English and Spanish versions of the ASI MV, as well as the Comprehensive Health Assessment for Teens, or CHAT. There are a number of clinical reports available in all the interviews, and there's also an analytics data center for you to look at aggregate real-time data to analyze and monitor outcome. There are additional training videos for both the clinical reports and the analytics data center. But basically, the Addiction Severity Index multimedia version is an evidence-based tool developed with NIDA grant funding in the mid-90s. The tools are client self-administered with audio and video, so the client uses the mouse to click through the 200+ questions to complete the interview. And in this manner, there is minimal staff time needed for data gathering or administering the interview, so staff can focus more on client engagement prior to the interview, as well as sitting down with a client, adding additional information, reviewing the results, and collaborating around treatment planning. Once the client finishes the ASI MV, the scores are immediately available and detailed reports can be generated by the staff. As long as staff is not duplicating data gathering, they're going to save time as well as streamline some of their paperwork. And then it provides staff with access to data in real time and can become a consistent standard for assessments and outcome within your organization. These are the guides that walk the client through the different domains of the ASI MV. George and Angela are in the center, and I often refer to them as the glue that holds the program together because they greet the client, they offer words of encouragement such as, hope you're doing well, you're halfway there, you have one more section to go. And each of the other guides greets the client at the beginning of each domain and reads the questions to them and guides them through the answers as well in each of those domains. The Spanish language version is structured the same way, but obviously with Spanish language speakers. And the ASI MV has a number of clinical reports that are valuable for treatment planning, referral, and level of care placement. The main report is the narrative, and we encourage providers to get most used to that report because it summarizes all the data points within the ASI MV. The other reports are subsets of the narrative report, meaning that they group or cluster data in useful ways for clinicians from across all domains. All the reports are in Microsoft Word and enable you, the clinician, to therefore edit, add your clinical impressions, as well as copy and paste them into other reports where necessary. The narrative report also has a couple of useful features such as a psych risk table and a graphic display of the scores for you to be able to sit with clients and review some of the problem areas in other domains of their life. The treatment planning tool does not develop a treatment plan or a intervention recommendation, but what it does is group data from across all the domains of the ASI and clusters it in useful ways such as the recovery environment, strengths, weaknesses, problem lists, psych risk issues, etc. So it leaves it for the clinician to develop their recommendation for a treatment intervention. Similarly, the client placement worksheet, which uses the 6 dimensions of the ACM criteria and populates it with data from the ASI MV where appropriate. That does not make a level of care placement recommendation, but rather provides the clinician with information for them to make their, or to support their recommendation for a level of care. So it cannot tell if a client has bloodshot eyes or sweaty palms, but it can tell the clinician whether someone has drank to intoxication in the last 30 days, has ever been in detox, etc. The brief screening summary is a one-page report that allows staff to look at the key areas within the ASI where, if any, are endorsed that may require full evaluation. This report was developed for clinicians that weren't necessarily trained in alcohol or substance abuse, but needed to know quickly when to refer for a full evaluation. In the domestic violence and sexual assault summary was a report that the state of Oklahoma asked us to develop a number of years ago in order to help clinicians identify when there may be a need for someone to be referred for further evaluation as a possible victim of domestic violence or sexual assault. Lastly, there is the client worksheets and handouts, which were part of a book that we had published by Hazelton, and they've given us permission to allow them to be available in this program for you to use with clients in individual and group sessions, or to give them to take home and review between sessions. The third component is the Analytics Data Center, and this is an online resource that takes data from your system and cleanses it of identifying information. So it's a de-identified data set that is available for you to look at trends and characteristics of your population. What it does is it takes the 18 identifiers that HIPAA defines as secure and confidential and cleanses those data from your client's records, and then presents it in the data center so you can look at problem areas of your population, not just in alcohol and drug domains, but in all the domains of the ASI MV. You can look at types of drugs used and how they change over time, or how they're different in different parts of your system. You can identify co-occurring issues, such as serious depression and those reporting high drug severity. You can look at characteristics and outcomes of the population by measuring change in composite scores in the alcohol and drug domains. You could compare to national benchmarks, which is customers of ours that have used the ASI MV in over 1,000 sites around the country. And these data in the data center are available in real time, meaning that when a client finishes an ASI MV, the data is available within maybe 15 minutes. As I said earlier, there is another training video that will give you more details about this resource. So current and future developments, we have released a remote access, which is a functionality that allows you to email your client a link to take an ASI MV from either their home or other secure location. Once they receive the email link from you, they have 7 days to complete the ASI MV, and once they do, you will get an email that they have completed it, and you will have access to the reports at your location. We have worked with a number of electronic health record companies to integrate the ASI MV data into their systems, and if you are considering an EHR or currently using one and would like more information, please contact us. Data management services are a service we provide for states or agencies that are looking for more detail than is available in the Analytics Data Center, where they might want more information about opiates being used in their area, or criminal justice referrals and types of drugs being used, etc. Please contact us if you would like more information. We're also working with a number of states and key stakeholders about enhancing the ASI MV with behavioral health questions that would make it more valuable across the board for mental health, substance abuse, and public health in criminal justice settings. And finally, we're also working on a screening, monitoring, outcome tool that we hope to release before the end of 2013. So in summary, With the ASI MV, you have an evidence-based tool that is a consistent standard for assessments and outcomes within your organization. It's practical and easy for staff and clients to use. It reduces staff time and streamlines paperwork. Gives your staff immediate access to clinical reports. And with the Analytics Data Center, you can monitor trends and problem areas of your population and compare that with local and national benchmarks. So in conclusion, there are several guides available to you on the website that contain some of the information that I presented here. And I hope you make use of some of the other training videos that are also available on this site. Thank you very much.